What's up, everybody? How are you all doing? I need to talk about some important things going on right now, leading into July. You've already heard me talk about these things for quite a while. I started talking about it maybe a month or so ago, and also every other astrologer is talking about it too. Very important things. But before I really dive in, I just want to bring us into some beautiful sounds. If you guys want to join me in just closing your eyes for a second into just this experience of centering ourselves, bring your awareness into your heart. And with your awareness of your heart, imagine, visualize your toroidal field, your electromagnetic field emanating from your heart. And through that toroidal field donut, visualize and imagine that white light moving from the bottom of your chakras all the way up to the top. And as it moves through your third eye and up to your crown, visualize another toroidal field donut emanating from the electromagnetic field of your brain, and aligning yourself with the heavens and the earth. Visualizing your center, your location within time and space, bringing in mind-heart coherence. Thank you. So, Uranus in Gemini, okay? Humanity is still calibrating to this Uranus and Gemini energy, okay? Uranus in the sign Gemini, in the sign of the twins, okay? Get a better color. This is something that's going to last for about the next 7 to 8 years. Okay? Previously, Uranus was in Taurus for 7 to 8 years. So, that's a big shift in experiencing the Uranian energy throughout the world and our life. It's a big shift of frequency moving from Taurus into Gemini. So we are adapting still right now. And what makes the Uranian energy in Gemini more intense than Taurus is the mutable capabilities of Gemini. Gemini is a mutable air sign coming from the mind, coming from your thoughts, Gemini governs information, the gathering of information, duality of thoughts, the contrast, the devil's advocate, looking at all angles, looking at all sides, and synthesizing all information to deliver message, to deliver truth, okay? Gemini governs many, many different things in our day-to-day life. But the main thing that I want you guys to understand about Gemini is that Gemini comes from the mind. Gemini governs the mind, the brain, and the nervous system within the body, including the lungs and your arms and hands, okay? And Gemini governs information and communication. So with understanding which parts of the human anatomy Gemini governs, if I were to light a match and hold it to my skin, there are nerves that are going to detect the feeling of hot fire and send signals through my nervous system directly into my brain, communicating the information that my nervous system is sensing, okay? This is how Gemini works through the body of communicating and in the nervous system, in the mind, and synthesizing the information. Let's say there was somebody holding a match to my arm, but I didn't know, and then eventually I'd feel the hot, and then look, and then I would know what it is, right? The truth. So the mind is through Gemini. Okay, this is why Gemini is one of the most underrated signs in the entire zodiac. People like to say Gemini is two-faced, shallow, superficial, not really deep, scattered, all of these things, right? And that's by design. There is a reason why in the mainstream of things, it seems like everyone is preconditioned, no matter if they know astrology or they don't know astrology. You ask anybody, they all think Gemini is the worst sign. They all think Gemini is a two-faced, gossiping liar, and that is by design. Gemini essentially represents the truth, the gathering of information, synthesizing the information, and expressing ideas and communicating. So, in a world where there have been a elite global faction of people wanting to dominate and control and to manipulate, one of the archetypes you have to suppress and dilute would be Gemini, the messenger, the free thinking, okay? So the archetypal expression of Gemini has been suppressed and banished into low vibrations, into low expressions, and into low understandings, okay? The mind is a vast, infinite space, okay? If you can think of Star Wars and Jedis and how they talk about the mind and the force and being able to sense and to feel, right? All of that is processed through the mind, okay? Through your mind, you can alter your states of awarenesses. The brain vibrates through a spectrum of different states. Beta is the primary state. I'm currently in beta state. Beta is when we are awake, when we're active, when we are alert, we're paying attention to the time, we are working, we are engaging, we're having to use our logic and our critical thinking. That's beta. Alpha is when we begin to cross that threshold of relaxation. Is when we begin to shift from that reptilian fight-flight responses, engaging with the world, and start to go into the rest and digest, switching the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. And alpha state is when we begin to become more suggestible. We're able to tap into deeper parts of our mind. Then there's theta, where we're going much deeper. Then there's delta, and then there's even gamma states, okay? Through meditation, which is a place that is very centralized in the mind. When you meditate, when you're sitting with your thoughts and having to become aware of all of the chatter, right? All of the chatter and all of the different things that are trying to pull your mind and your thoughts and awarenesses in different directions, right? Okay? When we sit and we meditate and we're using our mind, we have so many untapped potentials that we are coming back to and beginning to explore, such as reading the Akashic records, right? When you're reading the Akashic records, obviously you're using your intuition, you're using psychic abilities, but all of it is being processed through your mind so you can communicate it and express the words. I am visualizing and seeing the halls of a mentee, accessing the library of the Akashic records, where all things that have been and were and are soon to be are stored, and I'm accessing the memory files of myself, and I'm going back 200,000 years to see what my soul was doing. That's all the mind, okay? Also, remote viewing. The mind. Remote viewing is through the mind. I'm closing my eyes and I'm visualizing, what could my wife possibly be doing right now? I know she is at work. I know she is treating people with acupuncture. I can visualize and see her in her office space right now, perhaps putting needles into somebody, maybe using a little bit of humor, right? The mind, remote viewing, okay? The mind, in both of its hemispheres, is what allows us to access the infinite of the universe, the quantum realms, okay? Where we can explore thoughts and imagination and communication, not just with others, not just with others, but the communication we have with ourselves and communications we have with spirits, the communications we have with things that do not exist in the physical reality, but they operate through via frequencies, and they have their own thought forms, they have their own streamlines and channels of information that we can access, like a radio station. When you dial your radio station to find the station you want to listen to, this is the mind, okay? This is why Gemini is such an important archetypal energy in the entire zodiac, because it allows us to explore vast spaces within the quantum field, within the mind, and to be able to communicate with angelic realms or even demonic realms or extraterrestrials or other frequencies, your higher self, whatever the case, all right? Uranus is a very advanced planet. I'll be right back. Uranus is a very advanced planet, okay? There are a few things that Uranus really wants to see happen, okay? Uranus wants to see liberation and evolution, okay? But he has a particular strategy, he has a particular method in how he ushers in liberation and evolution. And one of his forms of liberating is to incite the energy of rebellion, okay? And what is rebellion? Rebellion is resisting, is going against, right? And traditionally, rebellion is something that rises to go against the status quo, to go against the normal structure of things. I do not want to follow these rules. I do not abide by this system. I do not agree with the values and the conducts of this government. Each and every person in this country has natural birthrights, and we need to fight and honor what these birthrights are and go against all of this stuff. Taxation without representation is theft, right? Then we start a revolution through the mind, through ideas expanding, and truth and understanding, right? So Uranus is liberation, evolution, rebellion, but also being unorthodox, going against tradition, going against the status quo, wanting to do things differently. And the reason why Uranus does these things is because his truest secret objective is to help humanity evolve from a type 0 civilization to go to type 1, type 2, type 3. Uranus is the liaison that is trying to bridge humanity to be in direct contact and in union with our star brothers and sisters from other planets, solar systems, galaxies. Okay? We are very, very, very young. Okay? We are not exactly quite there yet, but we're getting very close. We're at a threshold point. Okay? Now, one of the ways Uranus incites these things is through the element of surprise and shock. Uranus is known to be very destructive. If you're familiar with the tarot, the tower in the major arcana is a picture of a castle tower where people are falling off the tower but going to hit the ground and die because a lightning bolt from a thunderstorm struck the tower and at the top, and the tower's now crumbling. Okay, Uranus is the lightning bolt. All right, Uranus is this very high voltage, high level genius frequency that cannot be contained, that cannot be controlled, and cannot be predicted no matter how efficient your algorithms are, no matter how efficient your patterns are. Uranus is unpredictable and can never be captured and managed. So Uranus governs all things random, sudden, and unforeseeable with the element of shock and surprise and potential destruction. And Uranus being in Gemini, it is going to be increasing the mind's potential to become more intelligent. It's going to be inviting people to break their mental constructs and to allow new information to come into their awarenesses that's going to spark an evolution in how they are perceiving reality and how they interact with the world and with other people, okay? And there are many things we can already start to see happening, okay? Things have already been planted in the soils for the previous 10 years, all right? And now those seeds are starting to blossom, because when you plant a seed, okay, when a seed is in the ground, you're not seeing anything. You're not seeing anything at all until not even when the sprout. You might not even really notice a sprout. And the only time you actually notice is when it's coming to that completion. And it's like, oh my God, where did that beautiful flower come from, right? Has it always been growing there? Wow, okay. We are in that moment of the flowers opening, where the information that has been operating in our society and in our lives, that has been in the undercurrents of the soil, right, germinating, planting its roots and sprouting and getting ready to surface. We're at this point in humanity where a lot of the information is starting to come online, crossing that threshold of awareness for a critical mass. Now, there are a lot of us that already know a lot of the things, okay? And there are many layers of deception, a lot of fucking trickery going on. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about disclosure. I'm talking about aliens. I'm talking about technology and government conspiracies and what has the government been doing, all right? So on that note of the government, the last time Uranus was in Gemini was 84 years ago for a period of 7 to 8 years. So I could be off by a couple years. So if I remember correctly, I think this is 1943 to 1949, 50. Okay. So Uranus was in Gemini, might even be 51. Uranus was in Gemini around these years the last time, okay? What was happening during those times? We were completing World War II. We were coming out of a Great Depression. But this is the window where America started to go through their first, what's titled UFO craze. This is when UFO phenomenons and people in America started talking about unidentified flying saucers in the newspapers and in the television. And there are reasons why, because there were incidences that were occurring, such as Kenneth Arnold, a pilot in Washington. Kenneth Arnold was a pilot who was flying a plane, okay? He was flying a plane over Mount Rainier, and he saw 9 flying orbs, okay, around the mountain. All right. And so Kenneth Arnold is reporting live while he's seeing there are 9 flying orbs around this fucking mountain. I don't know what they are, and they're maneuvering in ways that defy logic and defy gravity and all laws of physics, which means like flying in this direction and then suddenly going phoom, and suddenly going phoom, and phoom, 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 phoom. Because if you know anything about anything when it comes to physics, there's this law called inertia. And if you're flying at a fast speed, going this way and suddenly do a 90-degree angle, that inertia can kill almost anybody that's inside the craft. Then there was another thing that happened during this time. Roswell, Nevada. Okay? Do you know what happened? The Roswell crash happened in Nevada, where there were flying saucers that crash landed in the desert, and our government went to go see what was happening. And what was created at that crash site after the Roswell landing? Area 51. One of the most infamous secrets in the world. Everyone knows Area 51, especially Americans, right? I've even been to Roswell. I've been to the Area 51 Alien Museum there, okay? What else happened? Well, Operation Paperclip. Okay, Operation Paperclip, which is when we brought Nazis from Germany to the USA. Okay? At the end of World War II, we brought in Nazis and Italians to the US, and we did it in secret, or our government did it in secret, and they gave them all jobs in some of the most important governing positions of our government, positions that govern our food, our education system, our power systems, all sorts of things, okay? Now, the other thing that occurred during this window of the last time Uranus was in Gemini, something that was created was the CIA. Okay? And when the CIA began during this time, and we were experiencing this phenomenon of UFOs and alien activity, and the things that occurred with the Nazis and the Vril societies and what they were doing in Antarctica, right, with supposed reptilians. Okay? The whole fucking world changed. But we didn't know it. Everything changed, but we didn't know it. And out of all this stuff that was happening, the CIA was a very important thing to help manage and control and operate and oversee what the fuck are we gonna do now with this huge secret right beside the rest of society, okay? And one of the things that the CIA started doing was they started mind control projects, brainwashing projects, okay? Because these crafts that were taken during that time, they were psionic. They needed to be operated through the mind body connecting to the craft, okay? So we'll just leave that there. But the CIA created MKUltra. All right? Just make sure I'm still recording because these fuckers like to fuck with me. So, MKUltra, all right? Now, before MKUltra was called MKUltra, because MKUltra, the name, the title, the project didn't come until post this time period. By the time the name MKUltra came into picture, Uranus was already in Cancer. So there are what do you call it? Precursor, or I don't know what the right word is, but there were projects that seeded MKUltra for brainwashing, okay, and mind control, okay, and we've had people such as Dr. Mengele, right? You know who he is, the Nazi doctor who was a sick person, all right? And MKUltra, which stands for mind control, and control spelled in the German way. All right. So all these happened during the last time Uranus was in Gemini. All right. Now, so, this is what astrologers do. Any good astrologer is going to study the previous cycles, okay? And Uranus is a planet that's generational. He has very long cycles, 84-year long cycles, okay? So any good astrologer is always going to study previous cycles. And depending on what your curiosities are, is going to, tell the astrologer what exactly are they looking for, okay? Me, I was looking for what the fuck the government was doing. Because Uranus, being the high advanced energy governing Aquarius, Uranus is a planet, like I said, is the liaison that wants to bridge humanity with star brothers and sisters, with the rest of the cosmos, okay? And the last time Uranus was in Gemini, we were having crash landings and UFOs. That was one of the beginning points, right? Of America and the world becoming aware, whoa, dude, there are aliens out there and their tech is fucking rad. Whoa, we are so behind, right? But all that was secret. Now, where we are now, as you know, El Presidente Trump, right? President Trump, in April at some time, released thousands of disclosure files on the topics of UFOs, right? We even had on national television, on the fucking news, say that there are 4 known types of extraterrestrial species, right? The Nordics, the Mantids, the Greys, and what else? What else? I don't even fucking know. I'm not really paying attention all that much to it, because why the fuck am I gonna listen to what the news says, right? That's just a front. Anyways, we're coming at a point where all the shit that was occurring during that time is beginning to surface, right? Now, Uranus is currently at 2 degrees Gemini. Okay? And right now, the North Node, is in Pisces, 2 degrees, and the South Node is in Virgo, 2 degrees, okay? And this Uranus, for the past month, has been forming what's called a T-square to the North and South Node, okay? This is huge. This is a big deal. We are currently in the window where everything is 2 degrees, 2 degrees, 2 degrees. However, the day where this becomes exact down to the minute is June 12th. June 12th, okay? So we are in this process, right? Now, the reason why this Uranus squared to the nodes is so profound, is so important, because what are the nodes? What are the nodes? What is the South Node? What is the North Node? I've never heard of that, okay? The nodes are known as the nodes of faith, or the Ouroboros, you know, the snake eating its tail, right? The nodes governed the karmic past and the destined future. The way I tell all my clients in sessions is, consider the North and South Node 2 active gates in your chart, 2 active portals in your chart, where the South Node is a gate, a portal to your past lives. And the South Node is an indication as to where we may be stuck and what kind of natural skills we need to be tapping into, right? It's very karmic. This is where the South Node holds the accumulation of karma. And it's also the default. It's our comfort zone, our default, our homeostasis. The North Node governs the future, the opposite. It's the future. It is the unknown terrain, whereas the South Node is the known and familiar. The North Node governs fated events and destiny. The North Node is going to be that lighthouse that shows us the way of the path we need to be moving towards in order to feel like we are growing and developing and fulfilling our purpose on a soul level, okay? North and South Node, okay? When these things, so you can think of this as a constant channel of frequency that is existing in your life, in your birth chart, okay? When a planet is either conjunct the North Nodes or squaring it, this is a big deal, because now whatever planet it is that is forming that aspect to the nodes, it is triggering the karmic past and pushing us to move into the unknown, into the future, into our destined experiences, which is generally intense because we may need to overcome and sort out and complete some karmic experiences that are rather uncomfortable or distasteful, right? And how are the karmic experiences brought about? Well, so if you remember, Uranus is the planet of all things sudden, shocking, random, and unforeseeable. Uranus is the element of surprise. Okay? So, and Uranus can be very, very fucking destructive. Anytime a client books a session with me, and if they tell me things like, I just got in a car accident. I have this crazy work injury. My house burnt down. If there's anything where it just seems like shit was just way too out of control, and there was a lot of chaos and some fucking major shifts happened, when I look at the chart and they're telling me that the first thing I'm looking for is what's going on with Uranus. What's going on with Uranus in your chart? Uranus and possibly Mars too. What's going on with those two things? And so, for example, I had someone book a client and they're like, man, they were describing to me that I had a client book a session with me and they were describing to me the car accident that they were in, and I'm looking at their chart and I'm like, boom, there it is right there. There it is right there. Uranus is on your South Node in Gemini, and it's opposite your North Node in Sag, but also opposite your moon and opposite your rising sign. That's what's going on right now. That's why you're experiencing this car accident. Now, so what this means with the element of shock, random, suddenness, and unpredictability squaring the nodes is that it is activating a lot of energy from the south to surface into our day-to-day life, into our day-to-day living as we are now. So we are all collectively moving through a karmic experience that has to do with Virgo themes, facts, information, truth. Both Virgo and Gemini are expressions of truth, right? Virgo analyzes the details. Virgo also governs mundane reality things such as math, right? This is Virgo, okay? Virgo is the math that'll weigh how much this pen is and will measure the distance that I'm holding it from here to the floor, and will come up with the formula to come up with the precise count in seconds, milliseconds, of this pen hitting the ground when I let it go. That's Virgo, right? So Virgo is analyzing how the world fucking operates, doing the math, figuring out the numbers, coming up with the formulas, right? And what is drastically changing karmically with this Uranus squaring, right, is people are having to realize that the world we were taught, the universe we were taught, the physics and the laws that we were taught were limited and not entirely true. That there is more possibilities. There is more to be discovered and understand that change our current understanding of the laws of physics, our place in the universe, and so much more, okay? Now, with all this fucking shift happening, it is entrusting us to go into the North Node in Pisces, okay? Pisces is opposite Virgo. Virgo would represent Earth, okay? Earth. Pisces would represent the heavens, okay? Pisces does not give a fuck about laws in Earth or gravity. Pisces is multidimensional. Pisces is a spiritual energy that can traverse multiple realms of dimensions through imagination and other fucking realms, where you can be in a dimension where none of the laws of our world apply, right? It doesn't have to apply, because this reality, this earth, this reality, this 3D matrix is an illusion, right? All of it is a holographic projection. This is all atoms and matter that is just slowed down to give us the perception that it's solid, right? Neptune dissolves all of that shit, okay? So we are in a position with Uranus in Gemini where rapid amount of information is going to begin surfacing into humanity's awareness that is going to really challenge people's perception and understanding of the fucking world and how to operate in it. And the solution is to surrender, and to open your heart. To open your heart spiritually, to allow yourself to experience things that are supernatural. This is mostly important, I believe, to people who are heavily indoctrinated in the religion of science, in the religion of Muslimhood, of Islam, or even Christianity, right? Because they're fixed old ways of perceiving the world and coming up with limiting and false belief systems, right? Like the Christian church, right? You know, if I live on a Bible Belt. There's a church there, there's a church there, there's a church there, there's a churches everywhere, okay? If I were to go to one of these churches and talk to the people there and say, I'm an astrologer, they're going to go, oh, whoa, devil worshiper. You go and get out of here, devil worshiper. Jesus said, thou shalt not X, Y, Z, in this Bible, this, right? Very sad. Very, very, very sad. All wrong, right? All wrong, very limited, small spiritual world. I mean, it's beautiful, right? There's this love in their heart for Jesus, right? But how real is it if it's not fully liberated? Get what I'm saying? And same thing with the Muslims, right? And same thing with science, with the religion of science. All these fucking dogmatic sciences that think they know everything. And if they don't know, it's like, well, science hasn't proved it yet. So blah, 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 right? So, and if you remember, right? If you remember, supposedly, our government reached out to pastors, or religious, the Catholic Church. They reached out to pastors across America and had a secret conversation with them. And what people are theorizing is that they were being told, aliens are real, and we're just telling you so you can have your church and your people prepare, and you have a way to help them integrate this understanding. Because one of the things that's going to challenge, like, people who are very dogmatic, when something surfaces such as aliens, right? What does that mean about my God? What does that mean about religion or even science, right? Well, what does that mean about what I've been taught in science, okay? So we need to open our hearts. We need to surrender and allow ourselves into the experiences of the spiritual world and the growth that's happening, which is going to be hard for a lot of people. Now, other things that are occurring right now with this Uranus element is that people's lives are destined to change drastically right now. Okay, so one thing I want you guys to understand is this energy that I just broke down for you guys. Okay, I told you that June 12th, right? June 12th, which is next Friday, is the apex of this energy. June 12th is the apex of this energy. But this energy is something that is going to be influencing our world and our personal lives now until fucking November. Okay? That energy is in effect now until November, where the most intense part of it is June and July. Okay? So keep that in mind. So people's lives are meant to change suddenly and drastically. For example, my life is changing quite suddenly and drastically since April. Okay? I am preparing to go to Ecuador for a vision quest where I will be in the mountains on a volcano in Ecuador for approximately 3 weeks, almost a month, almost a whole month. And I will be with an indigenous tribe of Ecuador, an ancient Andean lineage. I will be with my teacher, with my maestro, and I will be with many other students there, all participating in this beautiful, sacred, traditional vision quest. And there is a lot that I am not aware of, but can sense and feel that is going to shift for me in a big time in terms of my purpose in life and my direction in life and what I'm doing, what I'm going on, right? Because this is because I did not plan to go and do this. This happened suddenly. The invitation came randomly, suddenly, and the decision to go also came randomly and suddenly, right? Now, another thing, just speaking of clients, right? Case studies, okay? Car accidents, that's something that's happening. People being in car accidents. And then one of my online social media friends, her house burnt down, okay? Like, I don't know the full story, but the house burnt down, all right? Shock, destruction, all right? Now, for going into the example of the house burning down, okay? I gotta wrap it up soon because I got a session coming up. So this person's life is completely shaken up. Their house burnt down. Single mother of 3 children, and out of nowhere, their house is gone. This is shock, right? This is destruction. This is changing everything. Whereas perhaps we were going to live here for another 5, 10, 15 years. Now suddenly we're forced to have to relocate and live somewhere else. And that's changing destiny and our paths, right? In big ways, okay? So things are destined to happen for people, either directly for you in your life or in the lives around you. You're going to witness and see a lot of sudden events. Right now, you may even hear more ambulances. You might see more accidents. You might see a lot of crazy things happen online. Great big outbursts, explosions, and that sort of stuff. Very, very normal. There is a turning of the wheel happening right now, okay? Prepare for the unexpected is what you should understand right now. Another example, one of my best friends, okay, his parents have just put their family house on the market in Orange County. And literally the fucking week they put their house on the market, that whole area was locked down in Orange County because of a chemical leak, right? And potentially, so then they were wondering, wow, they're gonna, are we losing our house, right? So random shit, right? No one planned for that. That was an external thing. Where now all of a sudden this whole square mile radius is on lockdown and evacuated due to a chemical spill. And now they're telling us that the whole fucking thing might explode? What the hell, right? So uncontrollable events may drastically alter the lives of large collectives, groupings of people, depending on where you are and what it is right now. All right. But going back to June 12th, okay? June fucking 12th, all right? There is a movie that is going to be released on June 12th. And this movie is called Disclosure Day. Okay? June 12th. All right? Look, I didn't know about this movie till a couple weeks ago. All right? And I had already been talking about June 12th being the apex of major karmic energies. And I've already written articles that are a year old about the last time Uranus was in Gemini and a lot of alien UFO stuff about to get ready to come to the surface, and a lot of disclosure happening. Okay, I predicted the activity that's happening in Area 51. I predicted the wildfire that happened last year and the earthquakes that have been happening over this previous month. Why? Because this is all related to Uranus in Gemini and the fact that the last time Uranus in Gemini was when Area 51 was created. Okay, so now Trump releases all this UFO documents. All right, and just so happens fucking Steven Spielberg had been making a movie this whole time that I didn't fucking know about, called Disclosure Day, releasing June 12th, the day Uranus in Gemini at 2 degrees comes to the square with Pisces and fucking Virgo, right? Where that is at the apex, okay? That's by design, you guys. And Spielberg has already made a number of alien type movies, okay? He made E.T., he made Encounters of the Fourth Kind. He also made I Know What I Saw, which was a documentary. All right, Steven Spielberg is a fucking agent. All right, he's a fucking agent, all right? Trump knew what he was going to do. He knew, right? Or maybe not Trump, but the whole agenda, the whole ruling elites, right? They knew we gotta fucking, we have to start disclosing this shit as we get closer to this date of the Uranus stuff. Like it's due time to disclose this stuff, right? What is one way that they always disclose things? Movies, right? So what did they do? What did they do? You think Steven Spielberg came up with this whole fucking movie by himself? No. Maybe some of his own creativeness and his experiences and his expertise. Yeah, that's why they choose to hire him. But the CIA probably handed him a bunch of information saying, you need to make movie, and movie must include many of these types of things within movie, okay? And you, Mr. Hollywood, you tell story very good. You tell story very good. Here's all the monies. And also NDA, okay? You don't say nothing about what we tell you to say, okay? Okay, right? Oh, and also, Mr. Spielberg, movie must be released June 12th. Yeah? Yeah. Okay? Yeah, fuck you. All right? By design, all right? Now, there's a whole other segment of this lecture that I want to include, but I am running out of time, and this is going into the month of July, okay? In the month of July,